Slightly the wrong intro there, but actually it's a better one because it's got me dancing on stage. So welcome to the Nielsen Ratings, the weekly show where we talk about films, old and new, that we want to recommend to you. Before I get to those, though, let's bring in our panel of esteemed, I want to say esteemed, you could say extreme, esteemed guests. Ladies first, Rachel Percy-Art is in the house.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah, Rachel's been killing possums today, predominantly, or attempting to remove a possum, probably more accurately, before animal rights people complain.
Gently wrangling possum, convincing it to leave its own.
You can add that to your CV now. You know,
possum
I do amazing art and I gently wrangle possums. That's one of my other skill sets. Fantastic. Great to have you on. Did a fantastic job on that artwork for trance DJ Adele and Daya. She was very happy, I'm pleased to say. So
I'm so glad.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about that later. We also have on the northern wastes of the Redemption Zone, it's the Northern English Bastard. He's currently muted. Probably didn't think I was going to bring him on so quickly.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, hello, you beautiful bastard. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Just surviving the crackheads and the police. But apart from that, I'm okay.
Talking of crackheads, the inside man is here. That's just such a good segue to your introduction, I thought. It's perfect.
Surviving the crackheads and the police. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Evening all.
Excellent. I haven't seen you at least since the production meeting that finished 15 minutes ago.
It's been ages.
I know, so long. We're gearing up to do some film production stuff pretty soon, so that's exciting. Don't just review films here, we make them as well. Last, but by no means least, my regular co-host, the man who is the expert in Mexican menus, Stupenzo, is in the house.
Hello. Or hola, I should say.
How are we?
I'm watching this video of Danny DeVito confessing how he was like lusting after Michelle Pfeiffer dressed as Catwoman making Batman Returns.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
People are upset. I'm like, he's totally like, what is he? He's absolutely 100% correct. I mean, what? She's hot.
How is that not understandable?
Yeah.
Also, people are like, "Oh, these actors are perverts," and it's like, yeah, well, they're like fucking rock stars. Do you understand? Like, you understand what it's like to be a rock star, where you get like all the pussy you want, like no matter how, like it's just, it's people don't relate. People don't understand that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, they never complain about his character's behavior in there. It's always sunny. It's like,
yeah. I think we ought to remember exactly, why was Michelle Pfeiffer dressed in that catsuit in the first place? Why did it look so tight and slinky and everything? Why was it? That wasn't for any other reason.
Yeah, I mean, they stitched her up every bloody time they shot her, didn't they?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, she had to be sewed into it, and not the first actress
job.
What
a tough job that must have been.
Well, we're going to be talking about various film productions. In particular, we're going to be talking about the BBC iPlayer production, the bombing of Pan Am 103, which of course covers the disaster at Lockerbie. Which
this is not
Enzo
the same.
watched.
This is not the same as the Colin.
It's not the same one as the Colin Farrell. No, it's not that one. Colin Firth. Thank you. It's not but it's the same topic, but it's done from a different perspective, which is predominantly of the police and the FBI and the CIA. And
it's more investigative, isn't it? While the other one was more personable.
Yeah, this one is much more about the investigators and what they had to do and the bullshit they had to put up with, as opposed to a parent who was trying to find out information. But there is some overlap. We are going to get into that, but we're going to talk about some older films as well, including the homework that I assigned everyone. Did everybody watch the 1976 Richard Harris classic Cassandra Crossing?
Me.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, it's a me per yes. I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah, me. Yeah, it was for me. Sorry, I've seen me.
Okay. Enzo, did you get to watch it?
No, because I thought we had to watch something Q, and then you changed it again to Lockerbie thing, and I was like, all right, never mind.
No. I mean, the Lockerbie thing was, we were going to discuss it, but I knew not everybody would watch it necessarily. But the oldie homework of the week was the Cassandra Crossing. I actually picked that out right at the beginning of the stream.
I remember, but I didn't remember what it was.
Okay, well, let's remind everyone in that case.
1,000 passengers sealed on a train. Why? Armed guards in spacesuits. Why? It is forbidden to leave the train alive. Why? 1,000 human beings on a journey to nowhere with one-way tickets to hell.
We've got no choice.
Yeah, we're going to die. The children. The girl over there. What's her
Jennifer,
name?
stop it.
Katerina.
Stop it!
But how can
Stop it!
Send a plane to warn them. Put flares on the track. Give them a signal.
Any passengers attempting to escape from that train must be stopped.
1,000 lives are at stake here, including you and your men.
Come in, Dr. Shenry. Hello! Hello!
Cassandra Crossing.
Cassandra Crossing.
I want this train stopped, now!
My orders come from Colonel Mackenzie.
Okay.
Then I'll start with you.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Huh?
Go ahead. Go on, Rob.
Sophia Loren, Richard Harris, Martin Sheen, O.J. Simpson, Lionel Stander, Ingrid Thulin, Lee Strasberg, Burt Lancaster as Mackenzie, Ava Gardner as Nicole, a powerful cast of international stars in the most spectacular suspense film of the year. The Cassandra Crossing.
I know you must see me as some sort of a monster,
You had every option wired.
but it's my job and I do it well. You think I'd purposely murder 1,000 people?
Well, there you go. I mean, you've seen practically the whole film now, so fantastic stuff. One of the interesting things about this film is that, I mean, apart from Lou Grade, who's a notorious British producer who, went down with the Titanic, quite literally with the film Raise the Titanic, this is also produced by Carlo Ponti, who's an Italian producer. He produced Dr. Zhivago. And I hadn't made that connection before, which of course was a massive film, huge thing. And he was probably one of the most famous Italian producers, huge number of credits, loads of films. Do check those out on IMDb. But yeah, he was the main producer on Dr. Zhivago. So he also produced Operation Crossbow, which we also talked about. Funnily enough, the other week, World War II film, which I'm particularly fond of, about the V1 and V2 attacks on the UK. Cassandra Crossing came out in 1976. It was a regular staple of sort of UK Christmas lineup. It also was released on video in the 80s. It also came out on Laserdisc as well, when Laserdisc was a thing before we had DVDs. There's various different covers. And it's kind of that unusual combination of sort of a disaster film with action, of which there weren't many of those. But the blend of it, I thought, in this one worked quite well. One of the interesting things about the all-star lineup is everybody is acting in a film as if they're trying to win an Oscar, which no one's going to win an Oscar in a film of this nature. But everybody is like really going for it. Even the lesser well-known actors, even Martin Sheen is doing this massive, very big performances from all the cast. There's lots of shouting in the tense scenes. But basically, it's about a plague that breaks out on the train that could be a weapon. So they have to isolate the train, and ultimately the sort of military powers decide to send the train to a bridge that they know is in a bad state of disrepair and send all these people to their death in order to contain it. That's not entirely what happens. You'll need to watch the film to find out. This is not the last film that Lee Strasberg was in, but it's certainly one of the last of his latter part of his career. And of course, he was famous for the Strasberg Institute, which was a big acting school in New York. Some people swear by his techniques. Other people are not a fan of his, including those people that think he was partly responsible for the mental health issues of Marilyn Monroe. You've got O.J. Simpson in there as well, back in the day when he was kind of more well regarded than perhaps he is now. And if you watch the film, you will also see Richard Harris's wife of the time, Ann Turkle. She's on the right in this shot, part of a group of hippies who decide, when needs must, we're quite happy to pick up a machine gun and try and take over the train. But Lancaster, Ingrid Thulin in this shot here. So yeah, it's an interesting movie, and one that probably everybody of my age has seen, and everybody under the age of 35 has probably never seen. Rachel, did you watch this for the first time?
Yes, I did. Another one.
Okay, give us your thoughts.
I was surprised about how much I enjoyed it. I thought going into it that I was in for another, this is a bad movie experience. I really did, but I loved it. I really had a good time.
You need to trust in the action. You need to trust in the Nielsen ratings a little bit more.
That is true. That is true. Should trust the experts. But I love disaster movies, and to have one with this level of action in it was perfect. It was the perfect blend of everything I enjoy, action movies and disaster movies from this period.
Ann Turkle kind of looks hot with a machine gun, doesn't she? I think she kind of looks hot.
Agreed.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
All the men chimed in there. Good to see Gooch in the chat. Gooch, I haven't seen you for a while, man. We haven't spoken for a while. Great to see Gooch. Great to see Boosh in the chat. I will kind of
hey Boosh,
check out the comments. I like this one. Hey, that trailer was 17 minutes long. Felt like it. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, anything else you want to say about it? I'll come back to your rating out of 10 in a minute.
Yeah, really. I did really enjoy the plot. Sometimes disaster movies are a little iffy on the plot. I did like how they handled this and showed that in a crisis situation, the government will kill 1,000 people on a train. That is the plan. They will go that far.
Yeah,
I love at the end of the trailer when the general's like, "You think I'd kill 1,000 people?" It's like, yes, absolutely, 110,000%. You think you got that uniform by being nice and all those medals?
It's not the modern U.S. military.
Yeah. Northern, I think you were watching it for the first time as well. Is that correct?
Yes, it was, and I must say, a government. A fucking government superior sacrificing innocent people to contain a virus that has only killed just a couple. Nah, really far-fetched that, but nah, seriously.
Never happened in our lifetime.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But seriously, this film was actually pretty good. I love how it just takes its time getting to know these people without rushing by or dumping exposition just to rush everything. No, it really slowly builds up, and then it does become a lot more suspenseful as well, especially when you start to see what Bette Lancaster's true motives are. And I did like Strasberg's character here as well. I mean, the moment they call it like some kind of containment camp, and it's like, oh, so that's what they call it now. And it's like, you don't need him to spell it out. You know exactly what he's talking about straight away. Yeah. And it goes all out. The bloody ending, though. Everybody dies. It is totally 1970s nihilism.
Well, not everybody. If you, but spoiler alert. Fucking hell.
Innocent people. A shitload of innocent people do die, Lord. Bloody hell. Bette Lancaster kind of wins, but does he? Because he seems very kind of conflicted, but he has allowed this to happen when he could have probably avoided this.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Inside Man.
Do you know? I mean, it just it really kind of brought me back again to being a kid. First time I watched this, I haven't seen this, although I've got it on Blu-ray. I hadn't seen it for a long time. But yeah, it really kind of hit the nostalgia button for me, and I loved it as much now as I did when I first saw it. But I think Northern's right that there's a couple of things in there. I mean, we can see the death camp connotations in there. The whole sort of we can see exactly what's going on there. There's some real quite poignant sort of comparisons and parallels going on there. But especially when they're sealing the train, they're outside and they're sealing the train, and then all of a sudden you hear this Achtung, Achtung, and the guy's kind of giving the orders in German. He's doing it in English, German, Italian, and French. When he gets to the German one, suddenly, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up on end, because I thought, oh my God, yeah, this is really kind of, I know exactly where this is coming from now, this story. Something which completely escaped me when I was a little boy watching this for the first time. But a terrific cast. I mean, a really good cast. Although I will say, the only stuff I really didn't like was the interaction between Richard Harris and his wife. I thought it was actually really quite corny.
Do you mean
nice dialogue?
The interaction between him and Sophia Loren's character?
Yeah.
I agree. Their scenes were a bit cheesy. It was because they have that cheesy 70s soundtrack that comes on for their scenes as well.
Yeah, and
it was a little back and forth, but that was about it, really.
It was. They actually had some nice dialogue, but I thought their delivery of that dialogue was absolutely diabolical. And there was another thing that I thought was really unnecessary, and that was the Not Joni Mitchell track that was playing just after we started to see the train on its way.
I could have skipped that part.
Yeah, that was
you're getting airplane vibes with this a little bit.
Spoilers. Yeah. But I will say, I thought the second unit photography on this was absolutely outstanding. Just outstanding photography.
You're talking about the miniature work.
Not just the miniature work, but also there's another little thing I have to kind of pick on this for, and that is there is no way that train had 1,000 people on board.
No,
not a chance.
It's not long enough.
Not a chance was there 1,000 people on board that train.
And
the
trailer also says, and the train that's going nowhere. And it's like, well, the film's called The Cassandra Crossing, and the train's going to the Cassandra Crossing. So it's not going nowhere. It's going to the Cassandra Crossing. The clue's in the name, But I mean, that's just nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, those are kind of like minor niggles and everything. But in terms of plot, I thought the plot was pretty good. It's something that we're kind of used to now. I think it's, we've seen this quite a few times since. But I don't think particularly that many times before. I think this is probably the first time it was really sort of used. But And as Rachel said, a really good blend of action and disaster movie there. It's great. It's great. Photography is great. Acting's over the top, but you expect that in a disaster movie. The music is just incredible. Jerry Goldsmith's fantastic score.
Really spooky score, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those pianos every time we cut to the bridge is very, very effective.
Yeah.
The cinematographer, because I wanted to talk about the photography because he really put a lot of thought into, like, every time we cut to the Burt Lancaster rooms, the command center and stuff, the angles and the production design of that room are very weird and eerie and it's quite disturbing. It was photographed by Ennio. I think you pronounce the surname Gunarini, but I'm probably doing that completely wrong. But he had 143 credits as a cinematographer during his career, passed away in 2019 at the ripe old age of 88. And I mean, if you look through his credits, I mean, he predominantly is Italian work rather than, this is one of the big international films that he did. But just the volume of work of stuff that he's done is just absolutely huge. Film and television, loads of stuff. So I really like the way this film was shot.
I was really pleased to see Lionel Stander, actually. I mean, I love Lionel Stander. And coincidentally, he also plays a character in this called Max.
Yeah, who was Max in Heart to Heart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And when they met, it was moida.
Yeah.
He was great, but he was blacklisted by Hollywood, by the House Un-American Activities for having communist links. I mean, he wasn't really a communist, as most of these people weren't communists, or as they called them, pinkos at the time. But,
Enzo, were you watching this for the first time?
The trailer just now, yes, that was it.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie?
No, I told you. I thought you changed it.
Yeah, but we were off the air when you told me that, so I got to. So, are you going to watch it? Does it appeal?
Yeah, I do like old disaster art movies, and I do like watching, these actors in earlier roles like Martin Sheen and OJ.
You can watch it at double speed as well and still get what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't encourage that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm getting most of the gist, the basic plot points by just this rapid still sharing.
Yeah.
Combined with the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it will be something you haven't seen before. You got the characters as well, and that. Yeah, I forgot to mention this as well, but I did kind of like Martin Sheen's little redemption from this.
Yeah, no, the subplots are all quite worthy. They sort of earn their place, and I quite like a lot of that stuff. And Anne Turkel's always good value. So especially in this era. So okay, before we move on and talk about more recent films and shows, let's do our ratings out of 10. Enzo, obviously it's a pass for you because you haven't seen it yet, but look forward to hearing your thoughts another time. Rachel,
I'll give it an 8. I think it was really great, and of course it has to get an extra point because the dog survives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed.
So does that mean does that mean it's an 8, but it's a 9 because the dog survives,
yes,
or is it? Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Oh, God.
Northern, is there anything in this shot that you feel earns extra points for the film, or do you want to?
Sorry, what did you say again? Sorry, I'm just distracted at the moment. Sorry, I can't hear anything. That's just making it worse. That's making it worse.
The movie is suddenly a 10.
Yeah.
Give us your score. She says,
I'll give it a good 9 out of 10. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's really well made. The actors are really good. There's suspense, and it doesn't mess about. And yeah, it's a good film to watch on a Sunday afternoon when it's raining, and something to have on as well.
I think that's probably the first time I saw it. I think it was a Sunday. I think it was like evening. Vaguely remember. Okay, good. Inside Man.
I'm gonna have to give this a 9. I was going to give it an 8, but I think the extra point will always go to any movie if it's got Ava Gardner in it. So
Right.
Show me Ava Gardner in anything, and she'll get my points.
Yeah. What's that line she says? What's that line she says? My husband made one of these. He'll be very happy to know they're being used.
I'm going to give the film a 9. I think it's got a solid story, good characters, the sort of stuff we don't see in films. But one of the reasons I'm going to give it a 9 is because of how well it holds up.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
I'll put this up against thrillers of a similar ilk, and this film is very, very rewatchable.
Yeah.
No, and it hasn't dated too poorly. I mean, the only thing is the miniature effects of the crash, but in some ways, now that we know that they're practical miniature effects, the advent of everything with CGI and AI makes those effects all the more meaningful.
Yeah, because it's there. That's why, because it's actually there, physically there.
You know, people built it. You know, so yeah, I do quite like that.
This is George Cosmatos, wasn't it? This directed this one?
No, I think he was the director, I believe, of the movie. Let me just double check that. I'm 90% certain that's correct. And he was not a well-liked director.
No, he wasn't.
So George P. Cosmatos, so I went to a talk that somebody did about a movie called Leviathan, which came out. There were 3 films that came out around the time of The Abyss. You had The Abyss, you had the Roger Corman one, which was Deep Star 6, which was actually great fun.
Yeah, it was.
And you had Leviathan, which actually was the weakest of the 3 films, but had a great score by Jerry Goldsmith, of which I also have the vinyl soundtrack of. And George P. Cosmatos directed that. And the second unit director on that film was Mike Valentine, who got ultimately credited as the underwater unit director, which he sued the company for because his agreed credit in his contract was second unit director. And there was all this stuff that was cut out of the film that meant that it didn't really make sense. And every time he was trying to sort of suggest something to George that would improve the film, George would be like, "What are you doing? You're ruining my movie." And that was basically the impression that Mike Valentine did of George, and I'm passing on that impression to you. So that doesn't sound like a man that was a lot of fun. Then, of course, we have him getting fired off the set of Tombstone as well, which was essentially his last film.
Yeah.
But there's something very weird about that. And, you know, I mean, other people have said that George Cosmatos was an absolute dream to work with. And others have said that it was a nightmare. And the story of him on Tombstone is, if you read the recently published Making of Tombstone book, which is, I would highly recommend. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't paint him in a particularly bad light either.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently, Kurt Russell took over, didn't he, while he was gone?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's different versions of the story from different people. Some people said he had a drinking problem at one point. I mean, I don't know. I've heard an opinion from someone who was on a set with him, so that's firsthand.
Yeah.
Who didn't care for him. I mean, you know, different people go through different phases in life, don't they? So perhaps sometimes he was great to work with, and other times he wasn't.
Look, I mean, we can all be moody. We can all be jovial. You know, it depends on, you know, how we are sort of on any given day, really. So I think, you know, if somebody is consistently a shit, I think it pretty much says that they're a shit. I don't think he was consistently like that. Having said that, I mean, he has, let's face it, he has directed some cracking movies. I mean, Skyriders, good movie. Escape to Athena, good movie. Cassandra Crossing, bloody good movie. But yeah, I mean, he's done some good work. He has done some really, really good stuff.
And he also directed Cobra.
Yeah.
Well, we have to forgive him anything now.
Yeah,
I don't think he didn't direct Skyrriders, you know.
Oh, he didn't direct Skyriders.
No.
I
He
thought
didn't
he
direct.
directed Skyriders.
No, he didn't direct Skyriders.
Who directed
Skywriters
Skyriders?
was do you know what? I've got it on
Cosmatos.
I've got it on the shelf behind me. No, he didn't direct it. It was somebody else.
Well, I stand corrected, said the man in the orthopedic shoes.
Yeah, I've got it here. It might be in the other room now, actually. But oh no, hang on, I've got it here. It's directed by. My copy of Hard Target just fell on the floor as well.
Someone like John Frankenheimer.
Douglas Hickok directed Skyriders.
Douglas Hickok. What on earth made me think it was Cosmatos?
I don't know. Probably because it was shot in Italy. Although Cosmatos
Greece,
was Greek.
wasn't it?
Well, sorry.
It
was set in Greece. Yeah, so you're thinking Greek director, but
I'm thinking, those big sort of monastery things, that feature in Dudar, was it? Your Eyes Only and Escape to
the Meteora monasteries, which I nearly visited a few weeks ago when I was in Corfu. You can do a day trip over from Corfu to visit those monasteries. But that'll have to wait for another time.
You have to get up there in a basket. That's the only problem.
You do.
Yeah, that's the rub.
Darth Plato for $10 says it's possible that lots of undersea movies and TV arose in the 80s and 90s was from the crush of literature concerning the future of war, replacing the carrier with the submarine, which hasn't happened.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, this is why it's always great to have Darth, making these kinds of, comments in the chat and having him on. He comes up with some absolutely blinding stuff.
Well, talking of coming up with absolutely blinding stuff, Enzo, what have you got for us this week that you have watched?
It's kind of on brand with Cassandra Crossing. Jeff Daniels made a documentary in 2020 called Television Event, and it's about the making of The Day After.
The
God. 80s nuclear war movie, which is way better than Threads.
What? I think Threads is way better than The Day After, man.
No.
Threads is way more gory.
Yeah. Threads is more of like a horror film, whereas like Day After feels like a war movie. I don't know. They're both horrific, but it was about the not necessarily the making of the actual movie, but more so like
the reaction.
Yeah. Reagan trying to dismantle nuclear weapons after that and stuff, and it was pretty cool. And it was only an hour long, so it was a short little thing. Day After was one of those movies that I watched, when I was a kid on TV, and just blew my mind. And they talked about how all the nuclear explosions in that movie were actually like water effects, like dipping ink in water and filming it upside down. That was pretty cool. A lot of good stuff. It was just short and informative. And Jeff Daniels also didn't put himself in the movie at all. He's not narrating it or anything, which I thought was cool.
Where can we see that?
I don't know. Where did I watch it? I can't remember. I saw a trailer for it, and I'm like, "What is this?" And I thought it was like a new thing coming out, and then I realized this came out 5 years ago. Okay. Let's see here. Television Event is available on.
Where
can you watch this?
I found it by setting my ship sailing, so it is available if you search.
Yeah, I mean everything's available that way. I guess it's on PBS.
Not everything.
The PBS app.
What would you give it out of 10?
In terms of all documentaries, I don't know, I'd give it a 6. But in terms of movie related making of documentaries, I'd give it a 7 or 8. It was pretty good.
All right.
I thought it was just nice and short and sweet, and had some funny behind the scenes anecdotes from the casting crew, and they're all being interviewed and stuff. They didn't get Gutenberg or anybody like that, but they did get Ronald Reagan's one of Ronald Reagan's assistants, whose goal was to make sure that movie never aired. And then he admits that he shouldn't, they all saw the movie and they were like, wow, okay. All right, because Ronald Reagan was famously saying that nuclear war was not a big deal, basically, and survivable. And after that movie came out, he kind of changed his tune.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing, is it? Maybe he watched Threads as well, which of course is even better. Okay.
Yeah, I think just quickly that I think the thing about Threads was, apart from the fact that it was more relatable to us, I think it was really showing the general public how futile these protect and survive pamphlets and the advice within were just ludicrous, utterly ludicrous.
I love in duck and cover. That's like the Iron Giant making fun of just go under your desk and duck and cover. That's the idea. Was that's another great part of the Iron Giant where they're like, there's a fallout shelter, we can go and then the general's like, there's no way to survive this. Like, are you insane? Even if you did survive, it's like you'll die shortly after. That was the best part, was when they're all in the giant gymnasium hospital in the day after, and Steve Guttenberg is visiting that one lady, and they all reveal, he takes his hat off and he reveals my hair is falling out too. All of our hair is falling out. But I did watch a new movie that was pretty good, and it's called Sharp Corner, and it stars Ben Foster. Have you guys heard of this one? It was cool. Basically, in a nutshell, Ben Foster, who's doing a much more reserved and kind of flamboyant kind of he's playing a different role than he normally does. Normally Ben Foster goes a little over the top. This one he's kind of playing like a Ned Flanders type character, and him and his wife and his kid move into this big house because he might get this big promotion, and he's working as a computer guy or something. But there's a car accident that happens in the front yard. And they realize it's because they live in front of this very sharp corner. The road in front of their house is it's straight road for a while. Cars come down fast, and they have to do this real sharp turn. And there keeps happening. These accidents keep happening in this front yard, big bad accidents where people are getting killed and stuff. And Ben Foster basically kind of goes insane. It's basically kind of like that story about the fire marshal who starts fires to put out fires so he can get credit. He starts trying to actively hope there's another car accident so he can go out and hopefully save somebody. It was really weird. I don't know if it was a very tame drama or a really weird dark comedy. But I thought it was kind of funny, and the acting's great, and it was really twisted. So I would definitely recommend this. It was it's a nice little indie film feel. Some of the special effects with the car accidents and stuff, leave a little to be desired in terms of some of them look a little computer graphics, But other than that. Pretty solid film, and Ben Foster, really great actor. He's really demonstrating some range in this one. Kind of trying to play a little middle ground, not doing something so extreme that he usually does in his other movies like Alpha Dog or 30 Days of Night. He's always going really gritty and way overboard. And this one, like I said, he's got this Ned Flanders kind of vibe. So this was a cool one, and it just came out. And it's let's see how you watch this one.
What would you give this out of 10?
I would give it a solid 7. It's definitely a recommend. It's not too long. Just under 2 hours.
Ben Foster's definitely one of the best actors of his
generation. His wife is played by the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. lady. First Avengers movie. What's her name? Brunette.
Kobe Smulders.
Kobe Smulders. There you go.
Kobe Smulders. What a name.
I know. I saw that. I'm like, that can't be her real name. It is.
Okay. Well, before we move on from the things that you mentioned, both Threads and The Day After are available to watch on YouTube. Yeah. and I want to just do a quick clip comparison. This is the moment when Sheffield gets attacked. That's Threads.
Yeah, there you go. Bomb hits Sheffield, just under 15 quid's worth of damage.
Yeah, and then we have the day after, similar kind of moment here. I'll talk about these in a second.
Now, the special effects are better, but this is so silly that Jason Robards survives by just going to the floorboards of his car. You would be cooked alive like a rotisserie chicken, you know? Like, as soon... That's what Terminator 2 did right. Not only is the blast, like, blinding, but, like, everything is, like, caught on fire, like, instantly. Like,
yeah. Footage from the Earthquake movie in there, interestingly. But, yeah, so those are the two movies... made for television. Both came out about a year apart from each other in the 80s, when, of course, nuclear war was a real threat. And here we are. Thank God the world is such a peaceful place now.
Yeah,
and
it's changed so much.
Yes, it's so good that the human race has moved forward, and we're all working peacefully towards a common goal of spreading humanity to the stars.
We truly live in a utopia.
Yes, if only that were true.
That was a great part of television event when they're like interviewing the director, and he's like, "Does this film have a political stance?" And he's like, "Yes, the political stance is nuclear war is bad, and if you had a nuclear warhead go off in your area, it'd ruin your day."
I love that. I mean, if you haven't seen those films, they're both available for free on YouTube. I'm going to drop the links in the chat right now. I highly recommend that you watch them both. They're both good for different reasons.
Yeah, they are.
Threads is kind of much grittier. It covers certain elements that maybe the day after doesn't, and vice versa.
No old ladies piss themselves in the day after. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. But you've got a bit of, in Threads, you've definitely got a bit of pissing action. So if that's your bag. I'd give Threads 9 out of 10. I'd give the day after 8 out of 10 of those two. But yeah, I mean, considering what's going on in the world right now, they feel strangely topical, whereas I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago. Inside Man, what have you got for us?
Well, strangely, and this is a bit of an odd one.
Even though I hate films from the 1980s.
No. This is a bit of an odd one for me.
Is it?
I started watching an old TV show from, I think it started in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, and it was based on the was it Arthur Haley book Hotel?
Oh,
starring James Brolin and Bette Davis.
I loved that show. That used to show every Friday night.
Yeah,
it
was
on
on YouTube.
It was on after The Fall Guy.
Yeah, and my God, James Brolin was a good-looking man. Jesus Christ! I mean, he was a handsome man.
Is there something you want to tell us? Is this going somewhere?
Oh yeah, listen, I got no kind of hang-ups about
how much you fancy
another
James
man's
Brolin.
good looking. He really was a thoroughly handsome man. But it's quite an interesting show. I mean, in some respects, it's very kind of standard TV bubblegummy kind of stuff. A very very sort of love boaty type of stories.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, there's some very, very, very dark stories. There was one I'm not even sure I could actually mention about what happened to this young girl, but it was extremely dark and deeply unpleasant. Yeah.
How many of the episodes have you watched? Because there's 115 of them.
I watched about 7. In that ballpark. But there's, it's not that bad.
No, it's a
I mean,
good show.
it's been done before. It's certainly been done before, and it's been done since. I mean, our version, the UK's version of this was Hotel Babylon,
Yeah,
with Dexter Fletcher.
yeah,
The kind of 2010s version of this, or the noughties version of this. And there are some very kind of cheesy love boat type stories in it. So it's not that dissimilar in that respect, but um, this is big budget Hollywood television,
yeah.
and I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. Cheesy though it was, but yeah, interesting.
Uh,
I mean,
it's really interesting that you brought this show up because I remember it really well. I can recall a couple of specific storylines of this show. One was there was like a Mexican janitor and his parents were visiting the hotel for the first time, and he'd kind of bullshitted them and told his parents that actually he was the hotel manager. So James Brolin's character takes sympathy on him, lets him put a suit on for the day and pretend to be the manager, like bringing him documents and stuff to sign when his. I don't know if you've seen that episode.
yes, I think I have. I think that's one that actually sticks out in my mind from when I first saw this. Yeah,
that's kind of to show you the moral compass that Brolin's character is not a sort of domineering meanie. He's quite looks after his staff and stuff. Another thing I remember about this is you've got tonight's guest stars, and that they sort of cut to this thing. And I remember, I never forget this. I remember watching it because I was a big fan of Dallas, and I used to watch Dallas every week, and all these shows were on Friday night. And I just suddenly went out loud to my mum, Charlene Tilton's going to be in this episode. And because her image just flashed in my head, as was often the case with young boys at the time who watched Alice. And literally 2 seconds later, there she was on the guest star credits.
Yeah,
that was so weird. Like I predicted the future. If only I could do that with the lottery.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's not great. I mean, it's certainly by today's standards, it would never really sort of appeal to people today. Because I think sort of tastes move on. But as a nostalgia piece, it's actually pretty good. It's proper big budget American television, which I love. I mean, I love this. I used to really enjoy this. I used to enjoy The Streets of San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether this was a Quinn Martin production as well. It probably was. It was either a toss-up between Glenn A. Larson, who did all the sci-fi stuff, and Quinn Martin, who did all of this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's nice. It's well shot. For the most part, it's well acted. And as you say, you get all these guest actors in, real sort of stalwart American actors. You'll get people like Carl Malden, or you'll get Erin Moran and Charlene Tilton, and so on and so forth. I think the episode that I watched, I think Mel Torme was in the episode.
God, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
But Hotel, all available on YouTube for anyone who wants to trip down
it's
memory
good.
lane.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's not to be taken seriously. It's okay, but James Brolin, I'm going to say it again. What a good-looking man! My God, he's handsome, and I'm jealous. I mean, I'm not. In comparison, I'm not so much an oil painting, more of an oil slick.
Northern, grow your beard now.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
So that you can endear yourself to the inside man's tastes. Moving on, and one for Northern to discuss is we talked about the previous drama show that covered the Lockerbie bombings. I knew that 2 had gone into production at the same time, which is always interesting. I'm kind of glad that both of these got made because it's a topic that it's a bit of an open sore, because we never, even though this guy got arrested and charged and found guilty, I don't think the whole truth of it ever really came out as to who was responsible and who may or may not have been a sacrificial lamb and so on. But this is as close to the truth as you're probably ever going to get. It's a 6-parter from the BBC. Let's have a quick look at the trailer.
Oh, audio. Can't hear anything.
No sound.
Hello?
Probably might be better just to avoid copyright.
Why are we getting interruptions?
No, there's no
No
sound
sound.
at all.
There's just no sound. That's it.
Oh, there's no sound?
No.
Nope.
We get
Oh.
the gist of it, though.
Yeah, you get the okay. Well, you get the gist.
Yeah.
I probably shared the wrong screen. That's probably
Yeah,
my-
you don't need to hear the sound. I mean, it's visually, you get it straight away.
So now I've criticised the BBC in the past for not really making the quality dramas that they used to in the past, and they have made a couple of good ones recently, and this is another top class production. In fact, I'm going to just give it my rating now, which is 9 out of 10. It's a first class cast. You have got some people doing some accents that are a little bit out of their comfort zone, particularly Eddie Marsan. Whenever Eddie Marsan,
I do agree. I really agree.
Whenever he does an American, I'm never quite. I think it's just because I know it's Eddie Marsan. I'm never entirely convinced. I mean, his accent's fine, but I always have a hard time buying him as an American. Yeah, but it is a really good series. Connor Swindles, who's a relatively unknown actor to a lot of people, is fantastic in this. May his career expand. I really liked Patrick J. Adams on the American cast. Always great to see Kevin McKidd, who's just fantastic in anything he's in. Terrence Maynard is a great American character actor. And Merritt Weaver's been around as a female character actress for forever. She had a pretty big part in The Walking Dead until she got killed, like most characters do on that show. So she's an actress that I think is top quality. Yeah, great show. 9 out of 10, 6 parts on BBC iPlayer now. Watch it. Northern, give us your thoughts.
I was really so happy that there was no identity politics interjected into this. It seemed really respectful to the people who suffered this loss, as well as the people who were conducting this investigation and trying to get to the bottom of this. I mean, they're all portrayed as professional as well. I mean, there's no dumb white man makes a mistake while the vest. No, none of that. They do convince us the authorities, the people who are trying to investigate it, they actually do convince us these kind of people who would work in those professions. And Eddie Marsan's American accent aside, he is still really good. And
he's good in it.
Yeah, every actor's really good as well, and the people who play the family's victims as well, the people who lost their families, they are really good. I mean, one of my favorite scenes might have to be where one of the old, one of the grandmas comes in and they're trying to get the belongings back as well because it's taking so long. But they just haven't had the manpower to process all of the evidence. So she decides to get some people around to help, and it just goes to show just how good people can be, especially when something horrible can be inflicted on them.
Yeah, there's a really strong bond between the town of Lockerbie and the Americans who, lost relatives and loved ones. There was a lot of people who lost their teenage children because there was a huge contingent of teenagers who were coming back from spending Christmas in London or I think it was part of December or whenever. I can't remember the exact date that this happened. And those students, many of them were from the University of Syracuse. And many of the students of the University of Syracuse worked on Camp Northwood in 1988, which is the year that I was there when I worked on that summer camp, which I did a book about. And one of the girls, Julie, who was on that camp, she lost 4 friends on the Lockerbie bombing on that plane. 4 of her best mates were killed. And I just can't, I can't even process that. It was bad enough when I lost 1 friend when I was a teenager, but to lose 4, do you know what I mean? How do you even begin to fucking process that? And you're young and you probably haven't dealt with a lot of bereavements at that age. So yeah, it's I think one of the things I really liked about this film is I felt that the effort that the families put in, because it wasn't told from the point of view of one man's quest, and there's nothing wrong with that. That series was very, very, very good, the one with Colin Firth. This gave us a much wider perspective. In fact, you could probably do an edit of these two shows and put them all into one mega show. Wish you weren't doubling up on some of the roles. Yeah, you could have done a mega series with the two of them. It's a shame in some ways that maybe that didn't happen, but you've got two very different perspectives, but two very good shows about the same topic, which I highly recommend.
I think you've made a very good point about the BBC, though. I mean, the BBC have been notorious, certainly over the last maybe 8 years or so, of producing some utter garbage that has really been very much in the whole sort of identity politics.
What was the one set on the submarine with the murder on the submarine and the woman investigating it, who was also a lesbian? That was fucking diabolical, that show.
Yeah.
It was just crap. It was utter crap. It was awful.
Isn't that the one Drinker mentioned as well, which led him to do Hunt for Red October?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I mean, it's, you know, the submarine, the set of the submarine didn't even look right, and I mean, it was really poor.
But isn't it strange that they can do something like that and then start doing this kind of work as well? I mean, I know, look, it's horses for courses, isn't it? I mean, one man's meat's another man's poison, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to like everything.
Sure.
But I think, you know, when you start to do comparisons in terms of quality, I think it's quite evident which ones are going to be the ones that stand out. You know, is it going to be the ones that feel that the necessity to start pushing some form of agenda, you know, some kind of political agenda, identity politics, or whatever it might be, or is it going to be somebody who tells, you know, one of these shows that tells a straight story, a proper story about whether it's a true life event or whether it's a fictitious event?
I mean, it's interesting that one of the key guys behind this show is Jonathan Lee, who hasn't got a vast number of credits, and I feel like this must have been quite a big passion project for him. He's also author of a couple of novels, but the only other thing he's done is the mini series of Who Killed Jill Dando. Well, we all know it wasn't Barry George. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, apparently she knew a lot what was happening in the mainstream TV as well, which is why they bumped her off.
There's something just recently that's come out, isn't there? You know,
yeah, there's a couple of new documentaries about that. I never believed he was responsible.
Oh no, I mean, it was, you know,
from day one, this whole kind of he's a deranged fan, blah blah blah, and also he was in a DHSS office about 10 minutes. The distance just wasn't possible.
Yeah, it's very much the kind of.
They tried to get the woman to change the time to say that he was there later or whatever, and she was adamant about it. She wasn't going to change the time.
But doesn't it kind of smack of the Rachel Nichelle Colin Stagg?
Oh, absolutely.
Well?
Yeah,
very similar situations between the two.
Do you also get the idea that no one in the BBC interrupted this drama, and that's why it's actually seems a bit respectful and realistically done?
Yeah.
Well, the director has done episodes of Line of Duty. This is him, Michael Kellier. Is that pronounced? Maybe.
Yeah. Line of Duty was awesome. Yeah.
I love Line of Duty. We could do a special about that. I feel like I've met Michael somewhere. I think I've met him at. It might have been
rave.
I think not a rave, although he does look familiar to somebody who's on the rave scene. No, I think I might have met him at the theatre. When I went to see it. You know how it is, and in the interval you always end up talking to random people, and have a feeling I got introduced to him by someone at the Park Theatre. But he's done a fair bit of good quality drama. I wasn't mad on Roadkill. I don't think I even finished that, but he has done some good stuff. But this is definitely at the top of the tree. So, you know, I guess it's just a team who wanted to make this story. Is the key lesson to learn here. Northern, what would you give it out of 10? I've already given it mine's a 9.
Yeah.
My rating
Well,
for this
so
show.
far I've not finished it. I think I still need to catch up on the last episode before we get onto the others, don't we? But,
yeah, they're all out. They're all out. Oh, Blue Collar Loser sent a $2.99. Dude, you're missed on this panel. We need you back.
Yeah. Well, apart from not catching up on the last episode, yeah, I will give it a 9 out of 10 at the moment because I need to watch the last episode still. But it's going strong. It really is. It's very powerful drama.
Northern, do you have another recommendation for this week?
Okay, well, I've got a couple. One is really
give me
good,
one of them.
Okay, I'll give you one. And this is just one film that I
might have time for the other one, but I want to give Rachel a chance to give me your one, and then we'll give Rachel one, and we'll see.
Romeo Must Die. Romeo Must Die. It's been a long time since I've seen this film. I loved it as a teenager. I watch it lately. It's not that great, but there are some cool fight sequences. Jet Li's cool, but he doesn't have chemistry with Aaliyah.
What's it called again?
Romeo Must Die.
Oh, Romeo Must Die. Oh, I'm a big fan of that film. I've got the DVD of this.
It's dated. It's still got some good moments. I did like Delroy Lindo. He pretty much raises this film just above average. But it's done by the same guy who did Exit Wounds and Cradle to the Grave and the Doom movie. And Romeo Must Die is basically his masterpiece in comparison. Because there was still plenty of good stuff to, still like and still watch. And Aaliyah's okay, even though she doesn't have much chemistry with Jet Li. But there is a real good fight scene where he doesn't want to hit a woman, so Aaliyah just holds his hand and he basically uses hair to kick this Asian chick's ass. It's still fun to watch. It's just dated, that's all.
Yeah, because this is just as she was getting into her acting career, because I think she did Queen of the Damned not that long after this.
Yeah, this was about a year before she died in the plane crash.
And then, and you know why that happened, don't you? Because the entourage brought too much fucking luggage and put too much luggage in the hold, and the plane was overweight, which is why it couldn't take off properly. So, so, I mean, when you think that was the cause of the accident, it's fucking tragic. My friend Carly looks exactly like her, man. They've got exactly the same face in that shot. She was in my film The Journey. She's in a flashback sequence for just a few seconds.
I think some of the things that date is when he punches someone and then you see the X-ray of their skeleton.
I remember that. It's like the CSI thing. It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool at the time, but now it feels very.
When you watch it now, you don't need it. All you need to see is a bone break through the skin, and that's it. You get the idea of the damage. Sometimes just a crunching noise will do. Yeah, he was funny in it. He was actually
Anthony Anderson is one of the bad guys in The Shield. Yeah, so
he's actually very funny in this as this kind of idiot fucking henchman for a dad. And what's the name of the actor who was just with her in that other shot? He's been in a few.
Delroy Lindo.
No, it's Aaliyah, and no, he's one of the guys that works with her dad. But and he turns out to be a backstabbing arsehole. But
I know who you mean, but I can't think of his name.
I know, same here.
What would you give this out of 10?
Give it maybe a 6 out of 10. It serves as a nice little time capsule. If you can get past the crappy chat rubbish that's used as the soundtrack.
Well, before we talk of the chat, let's just have a quick look at what people are saying. Adrian Sherlock, there's been a murder. Quick, send a lesbian with PTSD down there to sort it out. Okay. That was basically the plot of Vigil. Yeah, Vigil. That's the thing I'm talking about.
The BBC's motto right now.
That was fucking crap. That show. It was utter rubbish. I think they did a second season. It was diabolical. It's got such bad reviews. So people are debating that back and forth as we speak. How many artists have died in small plane crashes? Don't know. The Big Bopper was one of them, though. I mean, and if you're called the Big Bopper, that's probably a clue not to get inside a small aircraft. So, Rachel, you got a recommendation for us this week?
Not so much a recommendation as a stay very far away.
Okay, have you got a warning for us this week?
Yes.
So something you thought maybe was going to be good, but turned out to be a bit poo. What was it?
I love werewolf movies, and everyone that comes out, I make sure to watch. And 90% of them are terrible, I'll admit.
Right.
But this one, Wolfman, had so much potential and blew it.
Yeah.
Blew it completely. And it's not the actor's fault. I was expecting it to be the cast's fault. No. It's the writing.
Enzo, I think you mentioned this film on a previous week, maybe.
We did talk about it when it came out, but yeah, it was it's rough, man. It's not even a werewolf, really. If he turns you permanently, you know.
It's a virus. It's a virus. Like, yes, we need another one of those movies where everything is just scientific.
Is it an allegory for?
It's about domestic violence and fathers.
Yeah, generational abuse is what it's about.
And where was the abuse? He tells his son not to run off in the woods with a loaded rifle on his own. That's not abuse. That's common sense. And then he grows up and tells his daughter not to climb on the pylons and almost fall into the street. That's not abuse either.
A single dad raising a boy to be a man is bad. A single mother raising a bunch of kids is A-okay.
Oh, absolutely. That's the way the world's supposed to work now.
She's a dumbass as well, the mum. She sees her husband is gnawing on his arm, acting like all rabid. She puts her daughter in the same car with him. Like, what the hell?
She's trying to get rid of them both.
Like, they go to their father's, like, fully furnished house, right? And there's clearly, like, a madman chasing them. The first thing they don't do is, like, look for the obvious weapons that there should be. There should be, obviously, a bunch of rifles and guns in this house, and yet no one thinks about that. Where are the guns? Where are the guns? You're telling me that, like, the neighbors walk around with rifles strapped to their back, yet there's no guns in this house anywhere?
Rule America and not a gun to be found. That's crazy.
You have to understand, like, if this actually is rural America, like, if there was a werewolf outside, like, my dad would just walk outside with his fucking gun and be like, "Where are you, son of a bitch? Come on out of here." You know, like, I'm going to find you.
Exactly. It wouldn't stand a chance if there was actually a werewolf out there in rural America. It would be Swiss cheese before it had a chance.
You think I'm afraid of you, you damn dog son of a bitch?
Oh my God, exactly. This was so bad.
So, dare I ask, what's the rating out of 10?
Well, it is a movie. I mean, it's shot well.
It had some cool things about, like, you know, he's like turning and he doesn't understand what his family's saying anymore. And, you know, it got really trippy and psychedelic. Like, I liked all that stuff, but they didn't really stick the landing on even the cool ideas, you know?
Yeah, it had interesting ideas, but nobody on the writing team, and I'm sure there was an entire team, because we can't just have one good writer anymore. Nobody said, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Not one person, and they got paid to write this. So I'll give it a 2 because they actually put something on the screen. That's it.
2 because it rhymes with 2. Okay.
There we go.
It's funny because I actually watched Ginger Snaps again for the first time in a while, and that movie's dated a little bit, but because I'm not like a 13-year-old girl, you know. But it's still pretty. It's better than this one. Yeah.
Leaps and bounds better than this one.
I'm curious to look at the crew credits. I mean, it looks like there's 2 writers, one of whom was the director. So you got Lee Wannell and Corbett Tuck, but it's also Blumhouse production. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Blumhouse back in the day when it started wasn't particularly woke. When it started, it was just a horror.
It's not about being woke. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Blumhouse was doing really well making these really cheap movies and making a lot of money on them, and they weren't even. I don't think they were even really that good.
No, they weren't.
But, you know, like,
got a lot of producers movies on there though. That's a lot of spoons to be meddling.
Never a good sign.
Yeah, so many cooks in the kitchen. That's it.
Right. Anyone else want to rate Wolfman out of 10? Anyone?
3 out of 10.
3 or something. Yeah.
I agree with Rachel. There are good ideas, and I agree with Stupenzolicious. Him sort of like losing his ability to understand his family. Yeah, that's cool, but it's just a big load of nothing though. Apart from that.
Big load of nothing. Okay. Northern, you had another recommendation. We've got time, so give it to me.
Yes, Casino, 1995.
Oh, fuck me, mate. You picked like, oh, yeah, I've got another film. Has anyone heard of Casino, guys, by the way?
No, never heard of it.
I love the way you drop these massive hanger titles in. Like, you know, if we're picking an oldie,
chew the fat worthy episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it. Brett, have you just seen it for the first time or what?
No, I've watched it loads of times. I just haven't watched it in a while. But God, I still love this movie. It's not as good as Goodfellas, but it is a bit more fast paced, even though it's packing in a lot of like story. But you got this really good the sort of like bond between De Niro and Joe Pesci's character, but they kind of become a little bit like rivals because Pesci's kind of going out of control while De Niro's just trying to keep things in control, and he's got his wife as well who's trying to run out on him and destroy everything as well, and she kind of ends up destroying this big mob empire in Las Vegas as well, just by being
always the women.
I know.
Yeah.
Sharon Stone still every scene she's in.
One of my favorite scenes in this is when Joe Pesci it sort of cuts to him and he's basically just walking towards his car with this showgirl, just kind of talking to her in conversation, saying, "Oh yeah, you know, and it's got great seats.
You can pound that veal, it won't get tender."
Yeah, and he just gets in the car and she just goes straight down on him while he carries on talking.
Yeah. This film is funny. It is
I love Joe Bob Briggs' character. He said he's like the stupid nephew of the casino guy who gets fired.
Well, it's a casino. People gotta win sometimes. What? You're pissing me off. Now you're insulting my intelligence. What am I, a fucking idiot?
Oh yeah, dude. You know what's funny is like you talk about like horror movies, like you know, Hostel and all these other movies with like the most insane graphic death scenes, Terrifier. And I'm like, dude, Casino with the baseball bat scene. That's the one that literally gives you nightmares and freaks you out, you know? That's the one that's like really hardcore.
Outright kill him, bury him alive. But apparently the true story is they don't know if that happened though because his body was never found. This is all made up just for the movie. I mean, because it is fictionalized.
Well, there's rumors that there's literally hundreds of bodies in the desert around.
Oh yeah, there is.
You know, around Vegas, especially from that kind of era. I mean, one thing about this film and also Goodfellas, and my ex-partner made the same comment, is these two films are almost like when you kind of, what should we put on a movie? Honestly, the number of times we gravitated towards either Casino or Goodfellas because you can just put them on, you get straight into them and you watch them. It doesn't matter that you've seen them before.
Yeah, it's also like if it's on TV, you know, you're gonna just stop and just like, okay,
yeah,
all right, Goodfellas is on, Casino's on.
It's very easy to get drawn into it. I love the whole narrative about how the guy was telling everything to his mother, who of course is usually
it's like a guy
by Scorsese's mum. I love seeing Scorsese's mum in her little cameos. You just know,
she really did not like the swear, and the guy was like, "The guy cost me another couple grand, the miserable fucks." And that look on her face when he says that word, that is real. She is not.
She used to like cook everybody like all this awesome Italian food and stuff like. Yeah, between takes, and in Goodfellas, in the scene where he comes back and you know, it's this very domesticated scene with her in the kitchen and asking after the girlfriend and all this kind of stuff, and Ma, what are you doing? And that's just exactly what she was like. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool having your mum.
I settle down every night, and after the moment I'm free, I'm with you. I want to be. I love you.
That's possibly one of the best impressions I've ever heard of her. I think it's the only one I've ever heard, so it's the best.
I do it with the lads all the time, mate. We just crack up with they crack up every time I do the am I a clown, do I amuse you line. It's just
that's never been done down the pub by so many people, thank God. My friend,
not as good as man. Anyway.
Actor friend of mine, don't get me started on that. He just wouldn't stop doing that sketch. Fuck me.
I know Stark will probably do it better though. You watch.
Is there anyone on the panel that's not seen Casino? Right, so we're scoring this out of 10. It's gonna score a potential 50 points. So I'll go first. It's a 10 from me. Rachel.
I'll give it a 10. It's
Northern.
perfect.
Yeah, 10. I can barely find any flaws with it.
Inside Man.
9.
Ah,
sorry.
Okay. Enzo.
Oh.
See, Goodfellas gets a 9, and Casino is better or not as good as Goodfellas, so this gets an 8.
Yeah.
Trail.
Yeah.
Goodfellas is better. For
I
sure.
thought it might get a 50 out of 50 there, but
it got a 47.
Yeah. Yeah, 47 is good. 47 is good. I kind of over the years I always thought Goodfellas was the better movie, but as I've watched them more and more, I appreciate this has got different sort of depth to it. It's very easy to write off Joe Pesci essentially playing exactly the same character. And he
also just like Martin Scorsese just kind of doing the same thing with the narrative, you know. You've got this like confession tape kind of narration and multiple narrators and this really big, like really fast, bombastic, like soundtrack heavy. I mean, it basically is, you know, like a spiritual sequel to Goodfellas, you know.
Yeah, because they are both based on real mob stories as well, and I kind of do see it as a sequel to Goodfellas. It's just, even though it's got different characters and a different name, you know, but some sequels don't. So, I think it counts.
But yeah, I think my favorite scene is the guy cheating. The two guys cheating at the casino.
Oh yeah, and they get taken into the back room and you can choose how you want to choose to keep the money, or you can have your hand smashed. You know.
Now you got to write checks with your left.
So before we begin to wrap up, did anyone have any other recommendations they wanted to get in quick this week?
Yes.
Preferably not another Martin Scorsese can of worms.
No, I watched a 3-part documentary series from HBO.
Cool.
King George died. If you guys don't know who King George is, he's the guy who owned and ran the Houston Renaissance Fair. Basically, it's one of the biggest Ren fairs in the world, one of the biggest festivals in the world. And I didn't realize that there was a documentary that came out about him a few months prior, and it's all about, you know, it's one of the most cinematic.
You said it's called King George Died?
No, it's called Ren Fair.
Fuck's sake. I'm trying to find the title, and it's like, where is this?
It's called Ren Fair. It's a 3-part HBO miniseries documentary, and it's one of the, like, you know, it's a pretty niche subject. And it's also, you know, pretty interesting. But what's really amazing about this documentary is how cinematic it was. This felt like a movie. It felt like a scripted movie. It's filmed like really well, with this really awesome, like, high contrast, low color graded kind of widescreen, you know, CinemaScope kind of camera.
An Inside Man's on the cover, which is nice.
Yeah, it's it was pretty wild. You know, I feel like it wasn't I would like a documentary that focused more on like the actual Ren Fair and the rise of the Ren Fair. This is kind of like the later years, and who's going to take up the mantle that George is like on his way out. He wants to retire.
Is this the guy who took up the mantle?
I have no idea who this is. Maybe the director.
Yeah, probably the director.
But yeah, it was actually pretty well done, very well done, and it's short and it was interesting. But yeah, it was mostly about like, you know, who's going to get the crown, you know, when King George leaves. But what's interesting is, I guess none of this is in the documentary, because what happened in real life afterwards is like King George's plan was to sell the company, sell the town, sell the Ren Fair, and retire with millions of dollars and make it to 99 and then kill himself in like Sweden or wherever it's allowed, and maybe have a couple more kids or something. I don't know. But basically his plan was cut short because apparently he had to he was going to sell the company to somebody, and they don't explain who, but he backed out of the investment. He didn't want to do it, and then they took him to court, and he was ordered to get rid of to give away the Ren Fair. So he actually offed himself just like a month ago. And I got a lot of friends who are in the Ren Fair scene, and they were like happy about it, which is weird. I didn't know anything about the guy. Apparently, he was just like a weird pervert dick. You know, but I don't know. I thought that was a little morbid. He seemed like a pretty wild guy. But the documentary itself was just, like I said, very, very cinematic, where you've got, you know, King George, who runs the place, and you've got the main guy who does the theatrics and the plays and the costumes and stuff. He's like the art director, if you will. He's like kind of vying for the ownership. And then you've got the concessions guy. He's the one who owns like the kettle corn company and the diner and the tavern and the beer. You know, he's doing all the you know, the food and stuff, and he wants it too. He's offering to buy it, you know, because he's got like rich. He's like a Trustafarian guy. He's got like rich family, and then there's a few other people like vying for the crown. But like I said, it just really felt scripted. It really felt like a movie.
Right.
It was pretty well done. So I would just recommend it on that kind of level. It was one of the better produced documentaries I've ever seen. But yeah, for me, interesting subject matter, and it wasn't too long. You know, I was happy to find out it was only 3 episodes. But yeah, I would give it a solid like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. It was pretty wild. If you don't know anything about Ren fairs, it's a good. It might be. I don't know if it's a good like introduction to Ren fairs, but still, it's worth a watch. Like I said, it would have been cooler to dive more into like the Ren fairs themselves and you know what the hell's going on, and you know just the idea of Ren fairs. But yeah, he apparently went to a Ren fair in the '60s in San Francisco. Just thought about doing it in Houston, where he's from, in Texas, and eventually got so big he bought and ran a town near Houston. It was like it's its own town with its own police force. He was the mayor of the town. It was just really wild. They're millionaires, you know. They're all super rich from throwing this festival once a year. So
what
pretty
would you
crazy.
give Ren Fair, the documentary series, out of 10?
Yeah, I give it a good 7.
So where can we see this?
HBO. Max,
So,
whatever. HBO
also-
Max, whatever the hell it's called.
Also on Max, which means it might be on Disney, because quite a lot of Max stuff ends up on the Disney Channel. So Ren Fair, with the Inside Man doubling as the crown guy.
Yeah, that's me.
Check it out. Coming up, we've got an industry interview tomorrow, which I'm hoping the Inside Man might be available to jump on with me if you're available at 8 o'clock. I have got an industry interview with author Robert B. O'Connor coming on. He has written a book called Jeep Show, which is about a trooper at the Battle of the Bulge. All told from a single trooper's point of view. Yeah, do look it up. I think it's going to be really interesting to talk about. And you and I, of course, are both big history buffs. And, of course, you were in Band of Brothers. So that technically means you fought in Battle of the Bulge, as we know, according to new history rules. So, yeah, be great to get you on. I'm joking, of course. No stolen glory here. But yeah, it'd be good to have a co-host who's also got an interest in World War II. Rob has sent me a copy of the book, and he did say to me, if I haven't got time to read it, which of course I'm in pre-production for a film, so I don't, he said, read chapter 5. So I'm gonna steam in and read chapter 5 tomorrow before this interview. So that's tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Then on Sunday, we are returning to the fat. We're doing a one-off. This is best train movies. We're going to do top 5. Myself, the Inside Man, and Rachel Percy. Possibly one other guest might be joining us. We're going to be doing our top 5 train films, kind of following on from Cassandra Crossing. You know, movies that are predominantly set on a train, not movies with just a train sequence in them. It's got to be the majority. So Spy Who Loved Me has got a train sequence, but it's only about 5 minutes of the film, so that's a no. But because it's best train films, not best train sequences. So it's got to be the majority of the film has got to be sent on the train. At least 50% of the movie.
Yeah. So I think the train has to be the integral part of the story, which is
train has to be an integral part of the story. Absolutely. So
we can't have training day, or
can't have training day. No.
Not How to Train Your Dragon 2.
No. Because just having the word train in the title does not qualify as a train film, funnily enough.
Mystery Train. There's a train. That's a train movie.
Yeah.
Definitely not Under Siege 2, because that's a bad train movie.
Well, you can have Under Siege 2, because that's all set on a train.
Yeah, but I need a good one. Bullet Train. That's a good one.
Mystery Train.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer.
The Lady Vanishes.
Snowpiercer is good.
Lady Vanishes, good choice.
Lady Vanishes is a good choice.
Very good choice.
We'll get into those. We'll get into those choices.
Yeah.
Don't want to be usurping the list. So we're slurping the list.
Throw Mama from the train. I mean, there's a train at the end.
No,
and trains still get symbolized a lot throughout the movie. So
yeah, but that's symbolism of train in story equals no. All right, so we're going to be doing that. I've got a couple of film directors coming in after that. In fact, Richard Oakes, our own DOP, is going to be coming in to talk about a crowdfunding campaign he's doing with somebody. I think that's going to be week after this. And I've also got the producer and director of a film called Fairy Dust next week. They're making that movie at the moment. They're coming in to talk about that. So lots of independent creators popping up on the channel. Got more DJs lined up, all kinds of people. So interesting times. Then in July, 14th of July, which is quite a way away, which is probably why I haven't received the thumbnail from Enzo yet, because, that's a long time. Basically, we're doing an unusual interview. We're interviewing the daughter of an Italian film director with a translator, because her English is very minimal. So it's going to be myself, the inside man, a translator, and the daughter of
Duccio Tessari.
Yeah,
I should have pretended to know Italian and then wait till the day of the stream and just be making it up as I go along.
Inside man, if you'd say the name of the director again, please.
Duccio Tessari.
There you go. Yeah, and I've also listened to that YouTube video that tells you how to pronounce that. Tessari made a number of prominent B films, big man in Italian cinema history.
Huge.
He also made the Italian version of Zorro with Alain Delon, who he worked with on a number of occasions. So there's a lot of history there, and we're going to hear
a hell of a lot. I mean, I was actually going through his list of credits, and
I knew you'd be really pleased.
Oh my god! I mean, I was absolutely soiling myself with excitement when I started to see some of the credits. I mean, he's got things like, the Goliath movie, Clash of the Monsters, and a lot of the Steve Reeves, Last Days of Pompeii, and obviously Fistful of Dollars is in there, which is a major writing credit.
Yeah, this guy wrote the screenplay for Fistful of Dollars, as well as being a director of a number of movies. So he's got 37 credits as a director, but 50 as a screenwriter, and also some acting and so on. His wife was also an actress, and she appeared in 9 of his films. So this is a daughter. This is a child of 2 Italian icons, really, because I think, in fact, his wife was as famous, if not more famous, than him in Italian film circles. And one of the films I'm going to watch in preparation definitely is No Way Out, which is more commonly known by the title Big Guns, or by the name of the character Tony Arzenta, which I think was the original Italian title. So I'm going to be checking that one out again with Alain Delon. who worked with him on a number of different occasions. I actually watched the 1975 version of Zorro today, entertaining dubbing, but it is available on YouTube. And he did both of the Ringo movies as well.
Yeah,
A
he
Pistol
did.
for
Yeah,
Ringo
Una
and
Pistola for
Return.
Ringo. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I got funny enough, I got Pistol for Ringo and what's the other one? Not the other Ringo movie. Bloodstained Butterfly.
Right.
Which is his Giallo movie.
Well, we've got to submit all our questions to her in advance, so it's Galen Hurd levels of preparation, presumably, so she can have answers ready. So we're gonna, you and I will have to have a meeting before then to focus on, pick about 8 films that we're going to focus on. I think about 8. But we'll definitely talk about the Ringo films for sure. We'll definitely talk about Tony Ozenta and a couple of others. So that's going to be a really interesting industry interview on the 14th of July. That's how far ahead we've booked it.
That will whiz by.
Yeah. So, Rachel, you got anything coming up or you want to plug? Any new art commission stuff that's going on?
I delivered one commission yesterday. They were really happy with it. It was a portrait of a YouTuber, which I'm always happy to do those.
Oh, fantastic. Do we get to know which YouTuber you did that for?
It was a friend of his that had it done, so I really don't know which one.
Okay. All right.
I should have looked that up, but I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Anything else?
No, I am just here. I am just here and working on.
I do like this one.
On a lot of projects. That
Tiny
one
Troll,
is.
Tiny Troll has sword and is prepared to travel. It's a big castle.
That is the big project.
I like that one. That's good post of that. That's great. You could take that character out. That could be a cover of a fantasy novel. Be wicked. Fabulous. Do check out Rachel Percy Art on Instagram. That's her page. Commissions available. Just be careful how you transfer the money. Don't press the wrong button at the wrong time. Northern, have you got anything coming up you want to plug, mate, quickly?
Yeah, I was supposed to be doing From the Train with Enzo last week, but fell a bit ill. But I should be back on schedule Friday, 7 p.m. UK time. I'm hoping I can try and get a review out this week, but I haven't really seen any new moves at the moment. But maybe I might try and get Mobland since I have.
Mobland. Oh my god, the ending of Mobland is so good. I mean, I wanted to talk about that today, but maybe we'll pick that up next week. But God, what a series.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll do that. But I'll try to get my review on it typed up later, but we'll see. But so far, it's just if Toxic wants to do a Buffy retrospective later, I will co-host with him on that. But we'll that's to be announced anyway. So and he's usually busy. So Friday, from the train, 7 p.m. UK time. So check your time zones if you want to sit around and listen to me and Enzo talk bollocks about a really funny movie.
Well, indeed. Yeah, Mobland, couldn't recommend it more highly. It's an absolutely fantastic show. Enzo, any recommendations?
Any recommendations? Yeah, I watched She's the Man starring Amanda Bynes and Channing Tatum. It was terrible.
Sorry, I meant, have you got any stuff coming
No. Amanda Bynes goes undercover as a boy to play soccer for her twin brother. And hilarity ensues because Channing Tatum is her soccer playing roommate who she develops feelings for. And there's like she has to keep changing back into her female persona. She wears like a Justin Bieber wig. And
is this the one from 2006?
Yes, it's awful.
I saw it for the first time a few months ago.
I saw it for the first time last week.
It's a product of its time. It's
well, what's crazy is it's like proto woke. It's like before we had a word for that. It's what it is. It's this is where they're making her up. And yeah, her two friends right here are what's it called? Amanda Crew from Silicon Valley and Final Destination 3, and then the black chick. She's in Cloverfield. And a couple others. Yeah. It was cool seeing a bunch of young kids growing up to be these famous Christopher. Oh my God. This was a terrible movie. So I don't recommend that. But that being said, this Wednesday, tomorrow, I've got a movie coming out. Me and Northern is Bastard and Lord Toxic recorded in July of 2024. It's finally coming out tomorrow. It's edited. It's Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Oh yeah.
I forgot we did that. It's so long. So long
I know.
ago.
I know. I definitely wanted it to come out this. Yeah. It didn't come out in time last action movie season. So this action movie season, it's coming out. We're kicking off June Pride Month with one of the gayest action movies ever. And yeah.
All that leather.
Yeah, I mean that
those fucking trench coats. Fucking is it Daniel?
It
Baldwin?
was cool. It was cool editing it too, because these are all like jokes we said like a year ago, almost like 11 months ago. So I didn't remember most of them. So it was funny. We're funny. But yeah, like, I don't want to talk about the movie. You just see it. Just watch the video tomorrow. You'll hear all our thoughts about it. It was fun. It takes place in the dystopian future of 1996.
Oh God, yeah. I kind of feel like I need to watch it. I think I saw this.
And yeah, other than that, I guess I'll be on Luke's channel Friday, and trying to do a Stupenzocast soon. Maybe not this week. I think Cinevere is going out of town for a month next week, so I'll probably just start streaming late night instead of her. And I think we're gonna try to watch The Swan season 2 for the next couple Stupenzocasts. So that'll be insane.
All right. Fantastic. And will there be more superhero women wrestling in pools?
Yeah, we did that Sunday. We did another one of those Sunday night. So it's actually pretty interesting you say that, because there's 8 more of these we have to watch, but there's a new one premiering on the 20th.
Yeah, you're going to do some sort of live thing with that?
I'm thinking we should all just be watching it on our own in the chat. And like, just, I think we should get a big crew, and we can all just pile in.
Big crew to crash the chat of that channel.
Yeah, Jonathan Rios is like, who are all these people watching this?
Yeah. Oh no, do you know what? We should do that. That'll be pretty fun, actually. Do you know what?
I was thinking about doing a stream over. It'll be like 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I don't know what time that'll be for you. It'll probably be like that's gonna be like midnight. 1 in the morning for you, I think.
Yeah, midnight or 1. I can do that.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be a 40-minute thing. So I mean, yeah, I don't want to stream snipe it. I don't want to do my own stream or anything like that. I think if we all just pile in the comments on the 20th, that'll be fun. So that means I guess we have to watch the remaining 8 soon.
All right. Well, just to wrap up then, I want to thank my guests for coming on. Great panel as always. Rachel Percy. Do check out her artwork. Northern English Bastard. Don't stand downwind of the man when he's eating a curry. Of course, we have the wonderful Inside Man, who soon will be torturing people on my set. And last but by no means, Enzo, his name of which coincided with me just breaking wind then. Play that back and see if you can hear that. It's been a bit of a sad day today because an actor friend of mine passed away yesterday. I found out today. I knew him for a very, very long time because he used to date the box office manager of our cinema in Kingston, which is the cinema I talk about extensively in the book 1988. And I'm pretty sure I talk about Stephanie, who is the box office manager in that book. And Mace, at the time that I was writing that book, was her boyfriend, and also one of the first jobbing actors that I actually met, because he was very much a jobbing actor at that time. Probably would have been in his early 20s and I was in my teens. And funnily enough, me and him reconnected last September, I think it was, when he was put forward for a role in something. His name came on the radar, and I reached out to him and I said, you were Stephanie's boyfriend back in, when I worked at Options. And we ended up having a 2-hour call. Turns out we know loads of people. So when he added me on Facebook, we had like about 100 mutual friends, in the industry. Sadly, he passed away yesterday. So a bit of a force of nature character. a loss to the British character actor community, and our condolences go out to his friends and family. So save me a seat at the table, mate, and glad to have known you. So that's going to be it for this week. Don't forget to check out the other stuff that we got coming up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Absolutely everything, including all of my guests' channels. Don't forget to hassle Blue Collar Loser and ask him, why isn't he here? What do you mean you've got a job? Get back on the channel, that sort of thing. Send him abusive messages along those lines. Just, push him to come back onto the Nielsen ratings. We miss Blue. It's not the same without him destroying his liver on live television. So that's it from us. All it remains for me to say is that it's good night from me.
And it's most definitely good night from him.